There's been a lot of talk recently about the voting process for the November election. Today, 23 ABC's Alex Bell spoke with the elections office about what voters need to know and ways you can vote this election season. Alex?
Yes, this upcoming election isn't just leaving voters wondering who they'll vote for, but also how they'll vote. Now, that might be an easy answer for Kern County, seeing as how already 72% of voters already vote by mail, according to the elections office. Now, whether you're planning on going to the ballot box in person or just to your mailbox, here's everything that you need to know about voting this November. The Kern County Elections Office says they are on track and prepared for elections coming up on November 3rd. Kern County Clerk Mary Bedard says all active registered voters will receive a vote-by-mail ballot this year, which will be sent out to voters starting on October 5th.
We're had about 72% of our voters who vote by mail anyways.
Bedard encourages residents to vote early, and you can drop off your ballot in person at the County Administration Building or in the mail. No postage is required. She also says the process is secure and safe.
We've really got a very secure process. California has a lot of controls, and we're used to this. As I say, we've always had a lot of voters in the last several elections, being a majority of the voters being vote by mail. So,
however, those voters still wanting to go to the ballot box in person will have that option.
We will still have as many poll sites as we had in March, so voters are still free to go to a poll site and vote on Election Day if they choose to.
According to the elections office, 400 poll workers have been confirmed to volunteer this November. Typically, there are almost 2,000 poll workers, but Bedard says the elections office isn't concerned about getting more volunteers. However, if there aren't enough poll workers, she says the elections office will have to work with the county administrative office to get additional workers.
Potentially, we could require county employees to work it since they are considered disaster workers, emergency workers, all county employees, and so we would rather not have to do that, and we would like to get a lot of volunteers from the community, but if it really comes down to it, that's what we're working on with the county.
She also says that half of the vote-by-mail ballots are dropped off in person on Election Day at poll sites or the elections office. And now the elections office is working on making drop-off locations available in the outlying areas before Election Day, and a curbside drop-off option so voters don't even have to get out of their cars. But for those planning on going inside the polling locations, protocols will be set in place. The elections office has been working with the Kern County Department of Public Health and the state to ensure proper social distancing and sanitizing measures. The elections office told 23 ABC that polling locations will not require voters to wear a mask. However, Bedard says,
we would strongly encourage voters to wear masks. We will not require, because we cannot deny people the right to vote, but we will have separate protocols in place for someone who is unable to or to wear a mask.
23ABC reached out to the California Secretary of State office, who responded in part by saying voters without masks will not be turned away, but they may have to use alternative voting stations that may force them to wait longer. They will also be slowing down the check-in process for their fellow citizens. Now, if you want more information on how you can become an election poll worker, all you have to do is go to kernvote.com, and of course that's listed below for you. And of course you can always head to our website, turnto23.com, and look for this story. Jess?
And Alex, what else should voters know if they do plan on voting in person?
Yes, Jess, Mary did mention one other thing, and that's if you plan on voting in person and you don't want to do that mail-in ballot option, they still suggest that you bring that ballot with you, and that's so you can surrender it. If you don't bring it, that's okay. You can still vote. They'll still allow that, but it helps them figure out if you've already voted or not. So if you don't bring it, you will be voting provisionally, but if you do bring it, then they can already go ahead and count your vote then and there and won't have to cross-reference anything.
All right, Alex, great information. Alex